So the first thing which I will try to take up is the biodiversity hotspots. Especially you have to study this in terms of India. एक सेकेंड, इसको इसमें से ओपन नहीं करना है, मुझे इससे ओपन करना है. First let me open it and then I'm sharing my screen. I will now share my screen. दिख रहा है? Are you able to see this?
Yes, sir.
So, hotspot. What do you mean by hotspot? Hotspot is a location or area where you have huge biodiversity present. And that means what is biodiversity? It is the different types of numbers of species which are present. So, hotspot. India as a hotspot of as a mega biodiversity hotspot. So India, you find places in India where you have thousands and thousands of species living in a place. In Sikkim, somewhere even in Assam, the Western Ghats, Pune, ये सब area, Western Ghats जो है, Khandala, all these places. So what is a biodiversity hotspot? A biodiversity hotspot is a biogeographical region that is both a significant reservoir of biodiversity and is threatened with destruction. So, one geographical region where different types of animals, different species of animals, they live. And most important thing is that it is also threatened with destruction, because human beings, they want land for making homes, development, mining, trees for wood, and all these things. So when you are cutting them up, so these species, they lose their home and they die out. So there is an extinction of biodiversity hotspot. So this concept was introduced by Norman Myers, and the hotspots represent an opportunity to help conserve the diversity of life on Earth. For example, the Amazonian rainforest in Brazil, it's a biodiversity hotspot. This forest produce huge number of diverse animals. So they have marked certain regions where these have to be conserved. You cannot destroy them. So these hotspots, people will come here. They will see the different types of species over there. And so for to qualify as a biodiversity hotspot, so it must have two criteria. First, it must contain at least 0.5 or 1,500 species of vascular plants as endemics. So endemics means it originates, it is the resident of that area. बाहर से लाया हुआ नहीं है, वहीं का ही है. So it should have at least 1,500 species of vascular plants, and it has to have lost at least 70% of its primary vegetation because of some reason, because of certain destruction. 70% of primary vegetation बर्बाद हो गया. Now, then the question comes that it becomes a hotspot because it has at least 1,500 species and 70% of its primary vegetation is lost because of destruction. So hotspot has got two places. First, biodiversity, different types of species, and second, it is facing destruction. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is what I've heard. So like this, 36 hotspots have been identified all over the world, and some of them are located in tropical areas. So these sites support nearly 60% of the world's plant, mammal, reptile, amphibian species, with a very high share of those species as endemic. So ये जो 36 hotspots which have been identified there in the tropical areas, And 60% of the world's plants animals रहता है इसमें. And ये वहीं का ही है. It is from there itself. Therefore, it is a hotspot. So there are certain hotspot. You have to conserve these hotspot initiatives. First is the Critical Ecosystem Partnership Fund (CEPF). Then the Worldwide Fund for Nature. ये नाम जानना बहुत important है. Bird Life International. So these region, ये लाल में एरिया दिख रहे हैं, लाल लाल एरिया वर्ल्ड मैप में. Are you able to see these red areas?
Yes, sir.
These are the hotspots. So you have the Critical Ecosystem Partnership Fund. Then you have the Worldwide Fund for Nature. Then Bird Life International. ये most important चीज initiatives है. So where are the biodiversity hotspots? ये है, it is lower hotspot, Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh region, Assam, some parts of Sundarban, West Bengal, some parts of Odisha jungle, the Western Ghats, यहाँ पे Western Ghats, and you have these regions. These are the biodiversity hotspots in India. You have to study about India. So इसको कॉपी में लिख लेना. What are the biodiversity hotspots in India? ठीक है. So इंडिया एज अ मेगा बायोडाइवर्सिटी हॉटस्पॉट, ये टेक्स्ट बुक से ही उतार, मतलब मेरे नोट से ही उतारा हुआ है, इसको स्पेस किया हुआ है यहाँ पे. तो 15,000 स्पीशीज ऑफ फ्लावरिंग प्लांट्स आर प्रेजेंट, 53,430 स्पीशीज ऑफ इंसेक्ट्स. ये so many types of mollusks, so many types of invertebrates you have to represent. So these are present in this region. So there are 10 biogeographical zones. ये जो है ट्रांस हिमालयाज, डेजर्ट, सेमी एरिड, वेस्टर्न घाट्स, डेक्कन प्लेट पेनिनसुला, गैंजेटिक प्लेन, कोस्टल एरियाज, नॉर्थ ईस्ट, देन द आइलैंड्स. ये सब रीजन 10 बायोजियोग्राफिक जोन्स है. जम्मू कश्मीर से एकदम अंडमान कन्याकुमारी तक इट इज डिफरेंट. देयर आर डाइवर्सिटी. So to preserve rich biodiversity, 9 biosphere reserves have been set up. In the Deccan Peninsula, Nilgiris covering Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka. Then you have the Nanda Devi in the Uttarakhand, the Western Himalayas. The Nokrek in Meghalaya, Manos and Dibru, Shaikoa in Assam, Sundarbans. Sundarban you did not have, but it's a very great place to have your excursions. The Great Nicobar, Andaman Nicobar Islands, and the Gulf of Mannar in Tamil Nadu. So Himalayas, the Himalaya region with its diverse have lots of so what you have to study over here is how many mammalian species, how many bird species, and how many reptile species are found over here. This is the Himalayan region. So area 750,000 so many kilometers. So Lord Himalayan tigers and everything is present. Original extent, it had so many square kilometers. Remaining vegetation इतना से इतना हो गया, 185 बचा हुआ है. Number of plant species are endemic, 3160. Number of threatened endemic birds, 8. Threatened mammals, 4 mammal extinct होने वाला है. Amphibians 4. So extent of protected area, इतना area protected है, बाकी सब में उल्टा सीधा होता है काम. So this is the species diversity and so the plants का 1,000 species है, 300 mammals है, 977 birds, you have 176 reptiles, 105 amphibians, 269 freshwater species. इतना species है, उसमें endemic मतलब from there itself. Okhankari, that is 3160 endemic species है, 12 mammals, 15 birds, 48 reptiles, 42 amphibians, 33 freshwater fishes. So, and this is a percentage में calculate किया हुआ है. You have to learn this. Numbers is very important. Then the Indo-Burma region. Same cheese. These are the animals which are found over there. Brahmaputra area, Assam mein. So this area also you have to study. These are the hotspot areas in India. Whole world का पढ़ने का जरूरत नहीं है, सिर्फ इंडिया का. So Himalayas का हो गया, यहाँ का भी endemism you have to study. Then you have the Sundalands. मलेशिया के एरिया में ये पढ़ने का जरूरत नहीं है, मलेशियन एरिया. बट पहले ये था सिलेबस में, अभी नहीं है. वेस्टर्न घाट, दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. वेस्टर्न घाट होता है कि एकदम वेस्टर्न साइड ऑफ इंडिया, वो कोंकण कोस्ट ऑफ कर्नाटका, देन यू हैव गोवा, सम महाराष्ट्र, कुछ का हद तक यहाँ पे माउंट आबू तक चला जाता है राजस्थान में. दैट इज द वेस्टर्न घाट्स. So when your train goes towards Bombay, you go through Khandala and Pune and all these areas. This is Western Ghats. It's very rich in wildlife diversity. This is the southwestern India to the high up to southwestern Sri Lanka, separated by 400, strikingly similar in their geology, climate, evolutionary history. So 160,000 kilometers square. गुजरात सब जगह है इसमें. So this data you have to remember this data. This data also you have to remember. So what are the threats to biodiversity hotspots? छोटा करके है इसमें, मेरे नोट में बहुत बड़ा था, इसमें बहुत छोटा करके है. First is habitat degradation. The main threat to biodiversity is clearing of land for pastures and monocultures, which involve growing single crops on an industrial scale. Then the next is pollution. Chemicals from pollution खराब कर दे रहा है, pesticides. Dams. Most of the important rivers have been dammed for. आज डैम के लिए डैम बना रहे हैं, उसीलिए आसनसोल में ये फ्लड सिचुएशन हो गया था. इतना नर्मदा डैम, you have to study नर्मदा डैम also, it is there. Invasive species, बाहर वाला species, so from outside something comes and पूरा छा गया, लोकल जो एंडेमिक स्पीशीज है बर्बाद हो गया. देन जेनेटिकली मॉडिफाइड ऑर्गेनिजम्स, उसमें जो ट्रांसजेनिक ऑर्गेनिजम्स को दे दिया, जो नेचुरल पॉपुलेशन को निकाल दिया एकदम. सो द बायोडाइवर्सिटी इज लॉस्ट. सिर्फ ट्रांसजेनिक चीज रहेगा, ट्रांसजेनिक तो बैन है. सो गवर्नमेंट लेजिस्लेशन इसको कंजर्व कर रहे हैं. देन नेचर प्रिजर्वेशन हो रहा है, रिड्यूसिंग अमाउंट ऑफ इन्वेसिव स्पीशीज जैसे मनी प्लांट, मॉर्निंग ग्लोरी, ये सब बर्बाद कर देता है इन्वेसिव स्पीशीज. फिर हैबिटेट को वापस रिस्टोर करना पड़ता है. देन कैप्टिव ब्रीडिंग एंड सीड बैंक्स, पकड़ के जो जू में पकड़ के उन लोग को मेट करवा के यू आर रिलीजिंग देम इनटू द वाइल्ड. लाइक इन Odisha in Bhitarkanika, there is a region where there is crocodile, numbers are reducing. So crocodiles are bred and then they're released in the wild. So all these things are there. Seed bank, plants के लिए they are making seed का collection बना रहे हैं and then they're releasing them in the wild. Research, lots of research is done. Then you have to reduce the climate change. You have to make a sustainable living, sustainable development means that development can be maintained years after years. That is known as sustainable development. ये करना है. Sustainable living. Education, लोगों को ज्ञान वितरण करना है. जैसे in your syllabus, first thing you have environmental science compulsory. So you are getting to know what is biodiversity hotspot. This chapter is also important in your biodiversity, in your environmental science. So this is conclusion में ये है कि although not entirely free from criticism, the hotspot approach has played an important role in conservation prioritization. ये है बहुत important चीज. ये समझ में आया?
हाँ सर.
बेटा एक
Yes.
जस्ट एक छोटा सा पार्ट बाकी है, वो जेंडर सेंसिटाइजेशन. वो बनाया नहीं, वो बना के मैं दूंगा, ठीक है। लेकिन उसमें से क्वेश्चन भी नहीं आएगा, क्वेश्चन इसमें से आएगा।
सर तो इस टॉपिक से रिलेटेड जो क्वेश्चन आएगा वो करवा दीजिए।
हाँ हाँ, ये कर लिखा दूंगा क्वेश्चंस। अभी मुंह से बता दूंगा तो तुम लोग को लिखने का टाइम नहीं देगा। तुम
हाँ
लोग
सर,
आओ।
लिखवा दीजिएगा जब ऑफलाइन आएंगे तो।
हाँ हाँ हाँ
স্যার তাহলে ফ্রাইডে অফলাইন যাব, সেদিন তো লিখিয়ে দেবেন।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ। ওই দিন এটাও করাতে হবে তো, তোমার ওই ফাইলোজেনেটিক ট্রি।
यस
হ্যাঁ
सर,
স্যার,
वो
ওটা
करवा दीजिए।
করানোর পরে তারপরে কোশ্চেনগুলো কটা লিখে
ঠিক
নেব।
আছে ঠিক আছে ঠিক আছে ঠিক আছে। বায়োডাইভার্সিটি হটস্পটের কোয়েশ্চেন্স খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট, আমি তোমাকে দিয়ে দেবো। এটা এনভায়রনমেন্টাল সায়েন্সেও কাজে দেবে, ঠিক আছে, ইএনভিএস এ।
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
ओके सर।
ওকে ওকে, বাই বাই দেন।
বাই স্যার।